Good morning, Mr. Campbell. We took your boat out for a cruise, not a cruise, for a test drive, load test last week. And when loading, the boat got a little sideways on the trailer and it hit this cross member right here, this roller, before it hit the bow stop. So really, and I'm surprised with this long a tongue that we didn't have the trailer in the water far enough to keep that from happening, to basically float the boat on the trailer. So here's the deal. When you load and unload, mostly when you load, you really need to have your trailer in the water deep enough that the boat is floating before you try to get off or on the trailer. So, and it should be possible here. But again, all ramps are different. They all have a different angle. So I'm just alerting you to this before you launch and load up there in Canada. So anyway, the boat hit the bracket and scratched it, and we've got that repaired. So the next thing was that we rigged up a manual oil pressure gauge, because your oil pressure gauge did not operate. It's the yellow one over here. That's amps, oil pressure, fuel, and temperature. So all the gauges are operating with the exception of oil pressure. So we hooked up we did another test, and we had an oil pressure gauge that was with an electric sender that was being used. And that one stopped showing us oil pressure at all. And that we didn't have this. So we rigged up a similar. This is a mechanical oil pressure gauge, but we rigged up an oil pressure gauge that was working off of a sender, and that was an old use gauge. Well, we're out in the water, and we didn't know if we had oil pressure or not. So we came back in very quickly. And never really left the dock. So then we rigged up this manual, and we have good oil pressure. That's the good news is we have great oil pressure, no problem. But the bad news is the gauge isn't working. And typically you can take the signal wire that would go to your oil pressure sender and ground it, and that gauge will slowly peg. However, in your case, the gauge did not do that. So there's an issue with your oil pressure gauge. So, it's not wiring. We've confirmed that it's the gauge itself, not wiring. So, and you may have a sender problem as well, but that gauge doesn't move when you ground the signal wire. So with that, just wanted to advise you of that. I wanted to advise you of what happened down here on the on loading. But I didn't really talk about that solution. Again, if you can get, you might have to put your back wheels of your vehicle in the water. And I shouldn't say back wheels, maybe even the differential in the water. May have to get that in the water to get this deep enough to float it on and off, especially if you have a shallow ramp. So, and I guess we were probably on the shallow part of the ramp. So so my thought is that to ensure that you don't have that issue again, what we'd like to do is, starting at this cross member right here and coming forward, we'd like to put in what we call target bunks, and see if I can find an example of target bunks for you. But they go in kind of V-shaped. And see if I've got another boat out here that has target bunks, perhaps. Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. This would be an example of target bunks right here. They're a little bit of a V shape. They help center the boat. Let's see if I have another example of target bunks. So we did have the gauges out at one time, and they went to the restorer, and she checked them all, and the gauges actually checked good. But they're not. Now here's another example of target bunks. They're wider. Let's see if I can get back there a little closer. They're wider at the back, so when the boat goes into the bunks, they direct the boat and center the boat in the bunks. So if you're interested in doing that, we'll put a price together for you for that. Let's see if there's another set of target bunks back here. Perhaps another set right here. No, that's just a big wide roller. That is another option, is a big wide roller, but you might still get sideways to that. So those are the concerns that's the concern I have about the trailer. So we're working this week on resolving the issue with the ladder. We've got a couple options there. We were planning to build you one. We had difficulty bending when we couldn't find one. We were planning on building one, and we were having difficulty with getting our normal stainless to bend. So we're going to look at some other options, some other options being a different alloy and a different wall thickness on the stainless. So we're actively working on that. And then again, we need to start thinking about how we would go about avoiding Canadian taxes when we deliver it to you. So we'll work with you on that. Here's your new bow stop that you purchased for your trailer. This is what that avoids for you. So how about that one? That guy had a bad day at the ramp, don't you think? Actually, this got caught in a flood, but still had a very bad day. So anyhow, we're working on this boat too. So anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Just wanted to give you an update, and talk to you later.